evening, everybody. Welcome to Old Gray Bricks Messy Monday. We have a kind of a small crew tonight. Fazoom had a long day at work. He's gone home and crashed and probably won't be joining us this evening. We might see him in the chat. I think Matthew also is very busy. In the chats, we got Yvonne VW and Bricking Up Brad. What's up, Brad? Maybe some of our regulars might drop in as we're going along here. Being Messy Monday and all that, it's informal.
Well, they're probably like me and realized, oh, wait, it's Monday and there's a chat because they're probably so busy trying to pack things up. And
yeah, a lot of us are busily getting ready for Atlanta BrickCon, which is this week. Mr. VW down there is about to get in a car in a day or so and drive south.
Yeah, in this time tomorrow, I'll be in like the Greater Toronto area, just trying to get ahead of the traffic for Wednesday morning.
Hang on a second, Brad. I'll send you one. I thought you were in the list here, but I will send you. Let me see if I can find your email. We have like a big old spreadsheet, and it's got 10,000 email addresses on it here. So I'm looking for. Here he is.
While you're doing that, Hall A, which is where it is a 19,000 and change square foot hall. So it's pretty big considering.
Yeah.
Almost 20,000 square feet.
And that portion of the conversation will mean nothing to anybody who wasn't on this.
Well, we were talking about the floor plan, and when you look at the floor plan, it looks really small.
Yeah.
But I guess
no idea how big the venue is. So, I'm basically just going to bring my usual stuff, and whatever doesn't fit, I'll throw back in the car and take home. I'm doing like no pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just there to hang out with people and enjoy it. And
I wish I had done that. But I did not.
And there's Brad. What's up, Brad?
Brad. How are you guys all doing tonight?
Good.
It is a messy Monday. It is a laid back. Should be probably doing other things, but
Spacey Monday.
Oh no, why am I getting so red? No, I totally get that. I probably should be doing other things too, but I was gonna hop on tonight because I've been wanting to hop on for a bit, but I've been so busy lately I haven't been able to get out. So
yeah, you said you were traveling. Where were you traveling at?
I was in Texas for work. So I travel a decent amount for work now. So like I was going down to like Texas and I was like, oh, well, while I'm on this plane, I might as well start writing scripts for future videos. So
good plan.
Yeah. But I'm very, very excited to be here. Don't know why I'm so red today. Just trying to figure that one out.
You're also a little choppy, but that might just be your internet connection versus anything else.
You're in upstate New York, right, Brick? Or right, Brad? Right.
Yes.
Okay. Whereabouts?
About like Syracuse, Rochester area.
Okay. All right.
Syracuse.
Yeah.
So really in that void between those two countries, two cities.
Closer to Syracuse than Rochester for sure, but yeah, I'm like on the edge of that void area.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I've driven that area a bunch. So.
I actually wore a perfect shirt for tonight. I figured I should bring something space related. I just finally got a shipment in of space shirts, so
nice. Yeah, I saw you were pimping Brick Monarchs shirts.
Oh yeah, he is the kind of the official sponsor of Bricking Up Brad because I mean, like I got his signs behind me. I got two of his light things. Usually, I wear one of his Castle shirts in like one of my videos, but I'm doing a big announcement. A lot of space videos coming up here soon on top of Castle, so I needed some shirts to go with that.
So, Brett, you're coming out as bipartisan, is basically what you're saying. You are no longer going to faction yourself.
I am no longer I'm the storyteller. That's what I want to be known for in a way. I am the storyteller of the Lego community of talking about Castle, talking about space. Like I'm not like I am a team original themes. I am team not buying Star Wars all the time. I am like nothing wrong with buying Star Wars, but like that's what everyone else does. And I'm like, oh, what can I talk about that's a little bit different?
Exactly. No. Like, it's like I told you, and you're deviling into some stuff that's fun. That when you start finding out more about classic sets and classic themes and all the little things and nuances, it's a rabbit hole that's fun to go down.
Oh, it so is. And so my first video is actually me Blacktron, which I bought the Blacktron Invader recently, which I actually want to take apart tonight and rebuild because I'm very interested to see how it goes together. And the more I look into it, the more I realize, like, one, Lego had no clue what they were doing when they were first putting out these sets for any theme. But two, there is so much more there than I ever thought there was. So I knew there was something there. I just never realized how much. So
you will find, and it's funny that Jeff is talking about Nexonites, because the builders of Nexonite sets were clearly both castle and space fans. Because when you build them, if you ever have the chance to build them, I know it's an abomination, but if you ever the more you find out about space sets, and then if you build some Nexonite sets just for the sheer experience of it all, not saying you want to keep them or collect them or display them, but you will see that there are a lot of build techniques and little nuances in the Nexonite sets that are direct descendants of space and castle. So
that's actually really interesting.
Because I didn't realize it till Captain Xavier was on with us, and he was talking about the old Knights castles and the Lion castles, and how you could take the king, the knight, and usually something else, and all of those would connect together, and you would create this circle of a fortress.
It was very modular,
right?
Yeah.
So the Fortrex for Nexonite, the Knighton's Castle in Nexonites, and the library, Murloc's library, all of those link together just like the classic castle set. So it's really funny, for as much as people want to say that, no, there's no history there, there's nothing. No, actually there is. So it's fun stuff like that. And again, when you start deviling into the themes, you will run across more and more little nuances like that, which is fun.
Oh, sorry, I just bought the set used, and I was looking through it, and he put a 4x4 plate in there, but half of it's actually an 8 or 2x6. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's broken off there. Okay, that was true. Yeah, no, and I also, like, I've noticed. So one of the big things I've noticed about Castle and Space, if you're into the army building stuff, then you're a Castle fan, I feel like.
More so, I would think.
Because I don't feel like Space is as big of, at least from what I've seen, people don't really army build Space. That's more of like, hey, I'm going to big build space stations and build like big spaceships, and that's kind of what I see when I think of space people now. I'm realizing.
Well, because there's an interesting point there, because if you think about the dynamic of the sets in general, you get a big castle, and it's your base. It's where everything goes. And so now you're basically doing fighting, so you need people for that. And so that totally lends to army building. Intense is on here. His house is a museum of little tiny armies for each faction, theme, whatever it's going to be. Where when you get to like my collection, it's 74 sets for classic space. And then you start adding duplicates in of ships, because you're building a fleet of ships versus a fleet of figures. And so that's where you get
makes sense.
That's where you get that separation, where it's army builders versus spaceships. So you don't need as many figures because you're building ships.
That's true. And sometimes you only need one figure for every trip. Sorry, I didn't mean to take over this whole conversation immediately when I joined.
This is what Messy Monday is about.
This is like my favorite conversation is right here. Like,
no, I mean, actually, what we're talking about is kind of what our Mondays used to be, where we just break off into some random conversation. This is actually when we would have conversations with Mark and Chris and Matthew and I on Saturday afternoons, and we're like, we should just start filming this. And people would probably want to chime in or have this, that, and the other. So no, you're not taking over anything that we wouldn't already talk about. So you're good to go.
Great. Good to hear. I always feel bad if I get on a stream and I'm like, oh, I really want to talk about this. Cause like the plane I was on actually had internet for the way down. So I was like, well, I'm sitting on a flight for 5 hours. I'm going to try to get as much like content stuff done as possible. And so I started researching a lot because my next big video, which actually the script's done for, I'm just having I have a friend who quickly looks over all my scripts to double fact check me. Is going to be every space CMF figure, and then that put me down a giant rabbit hole because there's so much interesting stuff there.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really insane. Like I didn't realize when the space figure actually was connected to Rock Raiders and there was the Ice Planet was the other one.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I think you've talked about that in the past, that Rock Raiders is kind of like the evolution of M-Tron or something, wasn't that? Or somebody brought that up?
I don't know if that was me, but somebody mentioned a while back that M-Tron was like a prequel to, like it's meant to be the ancestor is the word I'm looking for of M-Tron or something like that.
Yeah.
So I've seen a bunch of different things because I've been trying to figure out like Castle's kind of simple. You got this faction, which is this, another faction that's kind of evil, another faction that's neutral evil. And then it's like, okay, you have a bunch of, whereas like Classic Space early days, at least from what I'm learning, was like, they did 3 similar things and they're like, well, that was really cool. Let's remake those into, but a little bit different and a little less dark. And then they just kind of kept doing that. And then they added on some more. Cause like I noticed like there's Space Police 1, which overlaps with Blacktron 1 and 2 from the looks of it. And I don't know. I'm still am I wrong about that?
Yeah, Blacktron 1 and Space Police 1 were only together, and then Blacktron
and then Futuron. Right? It's Futuron.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blacktron, Futuron, and Space Police 1 were all kind of like they shifted along the same time frame. So yeah. And then when you get to Blacktron 2 and Space Police 2, it's M-Tron that filters in with there.
The interesting thing is that Blacktron 1 came out before Space Police 1. Like
correct.
Right.
And which I remember I was in the 6th grade and one of the kids that, several of us were Lego guys, that he comes in with one of the little booklets that used to come in sets. He's like, look at the Blacktron. Like, so there was all the classic space stuff and Blacktron. And it was like, what is that? Yeah. OMG. Like, we were so excited about it. And
wait, didn't Futuron come out before Blacktron? Or am I?
Technically the same Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm still trying to get this all down.
And see, Lego did some weird stuff. Like today we're used to that when they release a line, we get it all. Yes. And then, 6-7 months later, we get another portion of it. They used to trickle things out.
Mm-hmm.
So there'd be like 4 or 5 sets that would come out at Christmas or before the Christmas season.
And like Rom said, the visors, that was all new. Like the motorcycle helmet with the visor, that was a big deal. I get on Brickset and look at the old catalog scans.
Yeah.
And you want to look at, what was it, like fall of '86 is when Blacktron like showed up?
It was either fall of '86 or fall of '87, something like that.
'87. I'm doing research for that video actually right before I got on this. So
yeah, but you'll see that there was Blacktron and then a couple of Futuron sets, and then you go into the spring of '88, and then you get more Blacktron, more Futuron, and then they start giving you a couple Space Police 1. And then again, later in the year, they trickle a few more in here. Again, they didn't always give you the whole line at once or a full wave. It was like trickled throughout the year. So when we say that, like even when we talk about classic, technically there were 4 sets that came out in the fall of '78, but everybody refers to it as '79 because that's when the bulk of them came out. But technically it was 70. But technically there were 4 sets that were in Christmas of '78. So that was very consistent for Lego back in the day. Now they've completely changed it, and we get things in more of a calendar year kind of scenario.
Yeah. it's more now because I do hope to one day talk, because my goal is to talk about all of space and all of Castle, like kind of both. And I know for like, I mean, at least when I was growing up, like Mars Mission, they would give us, oh, here's wave 1, and then there's wave 2 later on.
Right.
And it was like its own theme though, so you kind of knew what you were kind of getting.
Right.
Where I definitely know with older space and Castle, even it was much different from that. Whereas like, hey, these are its own original themes, but they kind of go together in their own ways.
Space Falcons. Evidently, I knew that Fazoom was going to at least listen in, because even though he's tired, he can't stay away. He can't. It's not possible. He enjoys it too much. But yeah,
so
it's completely different now.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so I'm curious. So Space Police was like the police of their time. You had Blacktron, which were like the big bads. And if you read some of the CMF bios for the Blacktron ones, they're basically like a mixture of they're just bounty hunters and they're just the bad guys. They're robbing monorails and stuff from what I've seen. What's Mtron then? Like I kind of heard they were kind of the equivalent of firefighters, but also like space.
Mark, you want to take this?
They were just cool.
Or,
yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think Mtron was more like a industrial faction kind of thing.
Okay.
They were more utilitarian kind of stuff. They weren't really like I at least that's my read of Mtron. I didn't. They were like a mining guild or something. They weren't really like a military faction as much as a sort of, they're off.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I remember reading somewhere that it said very early on, like there was kind of like you had your civilian group, and then you kind of had like bad guys and good guys almost. Like Futuron was kind of the civilian group of classic space.
So there. This is the catalog.
Right. Okay.
So this is the the paper catalog looked like this. It used to come in if you bought a larger set, you got this larger catalog.
Oh, okay.
And so, you're flipping through pages, and then you get to here, and it's some classic space stuff, and then you turn that page, and there's Blacktron right in the middle of the page. That was like, this was mind-blowing when I was a kid. Because one of the kids came into school with this, and it was like, what are those? What are those? The Blacktron, just those little Blacktron ships right there.
Is that Futuron on either side of it? Sorry,
No, that's classic space.
Oh, that's classic space.
Yep. Yeah, those are all classic space. So technically, Blacktron was in the catalog before Futuron was.
Huh.
So that was kind of like exciting, because none of the regular classic space guys had helmets or anything that with visors. It was Blacktron was like this kind of.
It was revolutionary. It was like we now actually have visors, as opposed to just we're having to pretend that they have some sort of screen over their helmets, because otherwise they would die.
Intense wants me to flip to Castle. Okay, here you go. There you go.
The Castle's pretty cool too.
We're talking about space.
Flip the Castle.
I was actually looking through this. I was looking through this and the ideas book, because I was kind of trying to see how Lego depicted them in different media. Because when I do research on one of these things, I'm literally looking through every magazine I can get my hands on, every Brick Media article, every CMF figure. I look at every set, because I want to see how Lego depicts them, because that's the story I'm trying to tell, is Lego's story.
Now you got to kind of remember also too, from an old man perspective here, that when we were kids, there was no backstory.
Yeah,
there was nothing. There were space dudes. And then, they brought up the Blacktron, and we're like, oh, well, these guys are obviously not the good guys. There's now an opposition. But even then, there was no story. And you made it all up. It wasn't I don't think you started getting stories until like Insectoids and UFO, which ironically are tied together, which is really weird too.
Well, actually, there's one of the CMF figure. I mean, use the count the CMF figures bios as part of the lore quote unquote around this.
Right.
One of them actually mentions like insectoids and like Blacktron and all these other ones, which I found really interesting. I think that was a space villain from, yeah, it was like the Blacktron 2 one. But yeah, that's really cool. Well, the thing is, they don't always have written stories, but if you look at the imagery they use, that's the stories I also look at. If that
Right.
makes
And
sense.
that's really where we were at, is that we would see that imagery, like, because what you get in the catalogs and the pictures, Lego would give you little stories, and that kind of evolved our stories for us as to what was going on. And like the fact that there's some ice planet, there's some picture in some catalog where there is an actual Blacktron 2 figure frozen, and the ice planet dudes are carrying him. I mean, it's like it's so bizarre, but yeah.
But this catalog, this is 88. And like Dana was saying, the stuff comes out in trickles. You can see on the catalog page up here, it says, look for these 4 new sets, October 1st of 1988. And it's just these 4 Futuron sets over here. So you had Futuron sets at the same time as Classic Space, at the same time as Blacktron. So it was like, it wasn't like, boom, all of a sudden you had Futuron. It got sort of phased in and phased. You know, the Classic Space sort of gradually gave way to the Futuron stuff. And then they added the Blacktron base that year too. So it was kind of a, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. That's actually really interesting.
So that's the 88 US.
Yeah, I've been looking through those because there are really, I love old Lego magazines because they're so much better than they do today.
Yeah, the scenes they created with all the little, you know, people and everything. And then what is it? Is this the one? Okay, so here you've got the Blacktron guys actually holding up the monorail, and that's when Space Police showed up.
Yeah.
And this actually gives you that little piece of story, because right here it talks about Space Police, and then you've got the Space Police guys over here coming to stop the Blacktrons from sticking up the monorail. So
what year was this catalog? Sorry, I'm gonna grab this and throw this in my
one
notes.
Is 89. So
perfect. Thank you. Sorry. I have a document, Google Doc, that I literally just dump any information and links that I find. And so that way I can have it all in one spot, so that when I start writing, I kind of have it can go back to everything and actually back it up in the video.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's basically the 87 is when you saw just those 3 Blacktron sets show up. 88 was when you saw 4 of the Futuron sets show up. This is 89. And it's got still got Blacktron 1, Space Police has shown up, and you've got the monorail, and there's more Futuron stuff along with it. So,
it's actually wow. This is fascinating to me. I love this stuff.
Castle, so,
well, I mean, so they kind of did the same thing a little bit with Castle. Where I remember they would trickle, like, at least maybe, and I think that's what it looks like they did with this, where they would put out a theme, and it's like, oh yeah, this theme's connected, but we're gonna put it out later and just kind of keep those other themes going for a little bit. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, this is the I was able to blow it up. Okay, there you go. Can I blow it? Oh, there we go. Now I can get them nice and big. There we go.
Oh, that's the cartoon, not me.
So yeah,
that Space Police ship looks sick too.
Sorry. Yeah, that was a really cool ship. That was one of my favorite Classic Space ships. Was this Space Police ship was very, very cool looking with the red windows and everything.
Oh yeah,
very cool.
And these pictures like this is part of. I mean, I know we joke about the back of the box alt builds as being one of the things that we miss the most, but it was these pictures like this. Mm-hmm. And you would see stuff like this even in like the Sears catalog or the JCPenney catalog or stuff like that, where they didn't just give you a picture of the set. They did some big diorama that showed what you wanted to do. I mean, while not Lego, there was a thing that I remembered that in the for the Star Wars figures, they would build like this big space city to put the figures in. And I was always like, I want to do that. And then when they would show stuff like this, where they've got all the Lego sets together in like this theme, this setting, this environment, you're like, that's so cool. That's what I want to do, which is ironic because that's what we do today. It's that we build these things like that.
Well, I remember the Lego Ideas book from, it was, I want to say 1990, maybe. It was around that time.
Yeah.
I didn't fully know about all this stuff growing up, but my brothers had that book, and I remember leafing through it many times, and I'd see these builds in the background of the space and castle ones, and that actually made me fall in love with those, because there was just those cool builds like you were talking about. And I was like, I want to build something like that. Like, it's telling a story with Lego. It's like looking through those Where's Waldo books, and it's like you just see all the cool stuff that's in them. Like,
exactly. It's ironic that you say Where's Waldo, because Mark and I were having a conversation earlier about getting ready for the show this weekend, and we've always hid things in the moon base, and kids were looking for it. Like one year we did Unikitties, another year we did little droids that we built. Last year at one point in time we did little sus figures, and so we're gonna do that again. And kids will go running around looking for what's in the display. What's up, Martin?
Yeah, we have little brick built Among Us astronauts that
nice,
belong to Small Paul actually, and we're gonna put those on the moon base. That's his contribution that he really likes to do.
Yep.
We've got 12 of them that we'll take those, and I will just basically, after the moon base is all set up, we'll let him go and put them in different places around the moon base, and kind of and the kids that come and look at the moon base, I have printed signs that here, let me grab one.
At the Rochester convention, one that's near me, it's a very small one. Someone did basically that, but they made little Lego mini kits, and they put it in their Star Wars mock, and they told kids, hey, if you can find all 5, then you can get a piece of candy. Now that was a much smaller event, so they could do that. But yeah, no, I always love stuff like that.
So yeah, here's my the bin of monorail. There it is.
Oh, nice.
Monorail. So we have these signs that I made up last year.
Nice.
So yeah, we hang these on the edge of the table, and then the kids run up and kind of like it's funny because you have some kids who they enjoy it, but then you have some kids that are determined to find all 12 of them, and the parents will be standing there like they won't let us leave until they find all 12 of them.
Which is entertaining all in itself.
I think
so. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to put something in the display. That
we 1 year they're all downstairs. I know they're downstairs, but we did. I went to the Pick-a-Brick wall and found, they had little antennas. There was some headlight bricks, some plates, and an eyeball. And I took 1x1 clips to make arms, and basically we made a little droid. And then I threw all the pieces into like 100 bags. And so if kids found and they'd have to walk around with somebody who was at the display and say that they found X number of the little droids, then we gave them basically gave them a Ziploc bag with the parts to build their own droid to take home with them. And that's
actually really smart.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it was a small show, and so we were trying to be more interactive. I mean, maybe it might have been like 300 people who came through the door or something like that. So it was easy to do, but it was fun to do something like that, because then the kids had something to interact with and also take something home. So that was kind of cool. And it was, we're talking like, I think each pack probably cost me like 45 cents or something like that. So it was no big deal.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
But fun stuff. Oh, so I know we really didn't go kind of an around the room, which kind of jumped on things, but I got something in the mail today. I know I am not a Lego purist 100%, usually 99.9%. But if Gil or if Greg/Gil were here, he would enjoy this because I got mine in today and his probably haven't arrived yet. But I got my mouse guard figures from Crazy Bricks or Crazy Arms. And so I'm really excited about this.
That's cool.
They were cool. And I actually even got a couple extra heads so that I could do this. So there will be the event of the Space Mouse Guard that will happen at some point in time.
I hope they can hold their breath.
Well, they'll be in spaceships. So
look, mice can live anywhere. So I mean, they probably can live in outer space.
Space cockroaches.
Space cockroaches.
Yeah, those look too big to fit in even the Sandy helmets.
Yeah, no, they would totally be too big.
Yeah.
Too big. They would them wearing the air tanks is kind of ornamental. But no, I originally got extra heads specifically because I've always wanted to do a mouse in the motorcycle, Ralph S. Mouse from when I was a kid. So when the fact that they were doing these heads, I'm like, I need these. Gotta have them.
I love Ant Bandit's comments of reminds me of Redwall. That takes me back.
I don't think I know that reference.
I think that was after our time as kids.
Okay, must be.
It was like it was like a story, but all the characters were like animals. So it was sort of medieval-ish too. So that's why I always really liked it. But it was like this like medieval. It was like medieval like stories, but like a little more cartoony characters that were all animals.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
it's been a while since I've read those books.
No, it makes sense. Well, I mean, the fact that Brandon Peterson does Mouse Guard, the fact that I can't think of the other two guys who do the Mice Templar. So it's again, both of those comic book worlds do that basically that same thing. They take historical quasi things and retell them using animals and stuff like that. And not always mice, but there are other things that are going on, which is kind of cool. So it's a classic tale, I guess you would say.
So, are you guys done building for Atlanta BrickCon now, or?
I still got 2 more builds I got to finish before Friday. Now, granted, they're little builds.
Yeah,
they're little builds.
Well, you said you brought your own table. That's where I was debating. I said I was bringing 2 tables, and my hanger fits along 1 table, but I'm bringing 2 so that I can space it back a bit. And I was like, I could put a few little boxes at the front, like spaceships and stuff. So I packed a few extra things. But I'm like, I guess I could bring whatever I want for those 2 tables.
Yeah,
it's not like they're going to say anything. I just didn't register them as individual.
There's nothing wrong with that. So. I mean. The only reason that you register a mock, and I'm not sure how this is being done because Nick, the organizer, is like, well, we're doing an awards night on Saturday night. And I'm like, what awards? And then he came out somewhere along the line and said, if you register a mock, it will be eligible for judging. What those categories are, what they will entail, we have no idea. This is something new he hasn't done before. I'm assuming it's going to be kind of a bricky type thing. But beyond that, I have no idea. So the only thing that your mock card does is gives you eligible for those voting things. But it doesn't mean you can't bring something else to display that you didn't.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. The email they sent was saying that they don't have room for extra mocks, so don't register them. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to bring anything. And then I was suddenly like, well, wait a minute. I guess I could.
Because you're bringing your own tables,
Yeah, your own tables. I could bring my little red lifter thingy that I found a couple of days ago and stuff. So maybe I will.
Yeah. Exactly, Martin. Exactly.
Yeah.
And Tomoto's response, why do the mice not have tails? That's a very good question. And when I do the space mice, I will be adding tails to them, just to say so. Because yeah,
I'm basically just bringing stuff, and the only things that actually that I have that have designated space on a table are my Moonbase.
space.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to say that, but
Space.
The other stuff that I'm bringing is miscellaneous spacey stuff that, like, if there's room for it, great. If it's not, I'll just take it home. It's whatever.
And we were actually talking about that a little bit earlier. And again, this is a new show. They're starting out. As Martin pointed out, Brick Fair Alabama didn't happen. So I think that the attendance and the displayers probably jumped more than even they anticipated.
yeah.
So things are kind of being done a little on the fly. And I hope people who come to the show who are displaying or attendees will take that into mind, because I don't think the showrunners are quite prepared for even the influx that they're about to get, which is a good thing all at the same time. But yeah, I mean, I specifically registered a table for myself, even though I know I'm displaying with the lug, because the lug to me says town and Moonbase, and anything that I have that would not fall into those two things, I got a table for myself. So, but again, I don't think it, and the lug may not have done a good job, and that partially could fall on me as well, of explaining that to the rest of the lug, because a lot of our lug members never went to Brick Fair Alabama to display. So this is like the only show they've ever done, or it's going to be their first show, because they're not used to going to Alabama to do a show. So we shall see. We shall see. I'm excited.
Adam's saying no Monkey Kid. No, I don't feel like packing up City of Lanterns. It's on my shelf over here. It's on the shelf right there. I don't feel like packing it up.
I was really hoping to be able to make it out to this year's convention, but was not in the cards this year, sadly. But it sounds like it's gonna be a blast. I know a lot of content creators who are gonna be heading out to it this year, so
Yeah,
hopefully it's a good one for you guys.
And that's the other thing. We don't know who's really attending other than word of mouth type thing, because their website isn't fleshed out enough to have like your list of attendees and things like that, which is what a lot of people decide on whether they're going to go to an event or not, right? So,
Maybe they're sort of like I kind of feel like we need to maybe have a postmortem after the show and sit down with Nick and Amanda and basically say, okay, well, here's how other conventions sort of do it, and have their page and they have their list of people showing up and all that kind of things, and kind of see if we could talk to them about some of the things that we like from other conventions that would be good, or possibly that guests might expect to see on your website or whatever, and try to kind of help guide them toward the common things. But they're growing. It's growing. It's something that basically it went from being like just an independent display thing to it's turning into a convention, and I think the fans are going to help push it in that direction, and it's good. It's fun.
Yep. And that's just it. I mean, Brick Fair, the Brick Fair shows, Brick Worlds, Brick Cons, whatever, they've been going on for years. They didn't start out as they are today. They had to evolve, and this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to badmouth it or anything. I was just kind of saying, it's still, because it's such a new show.
Oh no, I knew you were trying to bring your Canadian criticism into no, I know you're not doing that.
No, I mean,
when we do a show, no.
Last year he barely had a website, and you just sent him an email, and this year he's sort of got a little bit of structure to it where you register for things. And next year it'll probably grow and get a little bit better. So and we're happy to help, because we're the home lug that's supporting all of it. So
well, one of my goals this weekend is that I know that Cody is coming. I'm pretty darn sure he's coming. I know that Aubrey's coming, and I think she said that Cody's coming too, and that I want Matthew to talk to Cody and also Nick to talk to Cody, because Cody basically does brick slopes, and he's also the lug ambassador, and utilizes all that magic that can happen to promote and do things for brick slopes. So he's a valuable resource that I think we could take some serious lessons from to help the show. And so, yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be good. It will be fun. We'll try to kind of pull it together. And are there really any other ones that happen this time of year? Like,
was there not one in Texas a couple of weeks ago? Or I don't know if this is the first one for the year.
I think
thought
this
there
is
was
because Brick Fair Alabama didn't happen. This is the kickoff of the con season.
was it?
okay.
Okay.
Because
I haven't heard of any other ones, and I've been trying to figure out which ones are going on this year.
There's Brick World Indianapolis happens in the third week of March, around then.
Okay.
So that's the next thing to happen, I guess.
Right.
I have there's one in my area that happens like April, but it's a very small one, as I said. So that's the first one I know of this year, besides the Atlanta one.
Yeah. But I mean, this could be a good time slot, because we're, as we've discussed, we're filling the void left behind by Brick Fair Alabama. It's the first one of the year after Christmas. Maybe we'll be able to sort of. This one also conveniently takes place in the same region as Brick Fair Alabama did. So, the people who used to go to that can come to this. So, it's in a good spot, I think.
And Brad, since you're in the upstate New York area, Bricks and the Sixes are happening this year in Toronto area in July.
Okay, so that's good to know. I don't know how far away Toronto is from me.
2 hours. Well, 2 hours. 2 hours from Buffalo, if not even an hour and a half from Buffalo.
Oh, so that means it's like 5 hours from me.
Okay.
It's not a day trip, but it's drivable.
Yeah, it's a day trip. Well, it's half a day trip.
I also don't know if I have a passport.
Oh, well, okay.
That's actually really good. So thank you for letting me know. Let's see. That's
no problem.
Oh, that's only like 4 hours for me. That's not.
Yeah. Okay. It's Mississauga area, not Toronto, so you don't have to go right downtown. But
okay, that's good to know. I'll put that on my list of ones that I'm thinking about this year.
Yep. Sounds good.
I know the big one for me is Chicago, because that's the one all my friends are talking about going to. So
yeah, I think we're all going to that one.
That is a worthy show to hit. I mean, I think we talk about there being the three big shows: BrickCon Chicago and Brick Fair Virginia. I think those are the three big daddies that you got to hit one of. You got to hit one of those a year.
Oh yeah, I heard Chicago last year was like one of the best events, according to people.
I don't want to be biased, but yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it was a really, I mean, it was going to a family reunion of all your favorite cousins, aunts and uncles and extended family that you never get to see or never have ever met, and then got to see them and hang out with them. It was really, really, really good time. I mean, I drove 18 or 16 or 17 hours with Chris Campbell in a box truck, which was an experience all in itself. Not Campbell being the problem. It was just the trip. I mean, Campbell, I love that guy. He and I had great chemistry. We could sit and shoot the shit all day long. It was a good trip. I would rather have been driving with him than a lot of other people. But we got done. It was a long day, just exhausting, all in one straight shot. Walked up the escalator into the hotel, and there was a little reception going on. You couldn't swing a bag of 2x4 bricks without hitting 10 or 12 different Lego Master contestants. And then just every Instagram, YouTube, TikToker that you've seen is all hanging out, having a beer or a drink or appetizers. Walked in, Martin and Moto gave me a big hug. Martin's like, "You need a beer." it was like I'm home.
Yeah.
it was awesome. It was just, and that was just like the kickoff for the rest of the weekend that just continued on and on and on, and it was great. And then
So
Jeff
you're home?
Shannon showed up, so that was even better.
I was there before you. You were home because you had a beer.
No, it was just
your hand?
the family, the feel,
The atmosphere.
The atmosphere was just fantastic. I mean, even so far as that, I went down and we were starting to unload stuff and get things set up, because some of the people were already setting things up. So we're unpacking stuff off the truck, or no, we didn't pack off the truck, but we just bring in a couple of things. And I'm downstairs and I've got a drink in my hand. I'm going over, and this guy walks up and starts chatting with me. I don't even remember completely the reason. He's like going to grab one of the beers out of my hand. I'm like, whoa. He's like, I'm Larry. And I'm like, oh, you're Larry? And it started this conversation that I thought he was somebody else, but it wasn't who I thought he was. But then when I finally realized who he was, I was like, oh, you're that Larry. And it just instant camaraderie, and it just so much fun. And that just kept on going all weekend long. Everybody you talked to, it was just so much fun. So yes, it's the show to go to.
I had a lot of friends who went to Virginia and Chicago, and they're like, it was just a complete, like, to them, they're like both good shows, but Chicago is better and a completely different vibe. And like, you just hung out with people more just because everyone's usually staying at the hotel, and within the hotel, it's like you can just go around, hang out anywhere. And there wasn't. So yeah, I'm excited. And also it's my birthday that weekend, so I'm like going to live it up a little bit.
Even better. And I think that, and I don't know, I haven't been to Virginia, and Matthew, I wish he was here. And I know, Mark, you guys have done that type of show back in the day.
Once. No, I've been twice.
But they don't have the same type of, like, the hotel isn't connected to this.
No, it's like
yeah.
the building itself feels like an old Walmart. Like, imagine going into a Walmart but taking out everything.
Okay.
And then putting up a ton of tables.
It's in a vacant store space, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, the Walmart is actually just across the parking lot. At least the current Walmart.
Yeah.
So,
and then on top of it, sorry, go on.
Because I think even though Brickfair, Alabama was connected to the hotel, I mean, there was a breezeway you could walk through and you could hang out, very similar to Chicago, but the late night atmosphere in Brick World was you go up into the lobby and you could just bounce from group of people to group of people. And every night you'd come in there, there'd be some of the same people, but they would now have jumped to different groups to talk to different people. So it was a constant social pit going on all the way around. And you'd think that, I'm going to go get some sleep. And you walk around the corner and there's this other group of people that you didn't know that were sitting there. And you're like, oh, well, I can't go to bed now. I got to talk to these people. It's a very, very more social aspect than from what I've heard about the Brick Fair shows after hours kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, people try to be social, but it was a little bit harder. At least the first night I remember, but yeah, no, I also heard, like, this isn't anything against anyone. From what I've heard, like, Chicago, like, they're trying new stuff too. Like, I heard there was like a stop motion competition. There was some other stuff, like they were trying to make it feel older, where like Virginia is an older show, so it's set in its roots a little bit more. At least that's what I heard. I'm not like, I don't have, either way is fine. It's just like the different vibe that comes along with it's definitely.
Well, like they even did and I didn't sit in on it because I think we had plans to do something else, but they did a comedy show and they had Second City player type people come in. And it was, they gave them Lego material to work with for the comedy show. And it was inside the convention hall and stuff like that. So again, just like you're saying, they're spicing it up, doing different things, trying to increase things. So.
But Che, that's an awesome way to go about it.
Yeah. It's good stuff. All right. So can you guess what I'm working on here?
A castle chariot. No.
I don't know classic space sets well enough.
Oh, see,
Is that the one with the radar dish on the back?
Nope, that's not a radar. Well, normally that should be a computer screen,
Okay.
and that there's a reason why I put a bracket for a stud out the back.
The air. Oh, for an air tank? No,
Nope.
I forget which one that would be.
It's from the Space Command Center.
Oh, I didn't have that one.
I'm pulling up a brick set right now because
493 is the set number.
okay. 49.
Baby space. It's all about baby space.
That's right, baby space. I got my little baby spaceship right there.
It's so
I need to change it to the Dana style laser guns on the front, though.
The cappuccino maker pieces. That's what I call them.
You said 493.
Yep, 493.
Ah, okay. Oh, okay. The tiny vehicle. Okay.
Yep. The little rover with the blue peg out
Oh,
the back.
The,
Yeah,
the
it's got
picture
the
I'm
old-
looking at. Oh, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say it's got the old helicopter rotor piece on the back.
And that's why I
Yeah.
got the stud out the back.
Makes sense.
I was looking at it and it looked very different from the image I was looking at, and I was like, this looks nothing like what you're built like. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but like
No, it's specifically the little rover. Specifically the little rover. I usually start out with the vehicle and then that sets everything. There you go. Now that looks like
oh nice.
baby space.
I feel like I should be doing the same and like building these ones, but you guys are all doing such a great job. And
Well, you know, the funny
Honestly,
thing is, it's some guy made a comment that I'm just popping these out like it's nothing, and I'm like, no, actually, I'm agonizing over this because I'm trying to get them done before the show. But at the same time, I know other people are going to start to do this. Like I know that there's a guy who's done a little monorail using the roller coaster track. So he's going to do a baby space monorail. There's another guy who's doing some of the other like later sets. And so I know other people are going to be doing this. So that's why I'm I just want to get wave, 78, 79 done. And then because I know other people are going to start doing more and start doing more.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's my friend Ethan actually recently did one that he showed us, which looked a little more modern, the one he did. But yeah, it's gonna be a big trend. Honestly, I wish we had a baby castle thing, so I was gonna try to pop out a few like classic castle ones. So I was like, it's such a fun idea.
Well, I'm also the more I keep doing this, because I mean the earlier sets, it was the red and the white figures that offset themselves against the blue and the gray.
yeah.
And the blue figure kind of gets a little lost in the blue ship. So I really keep jonesing for the fact that, hey, I hate to be like, oh, you just gave us something new, but now I want more.
The sad thing is they're probably not going to do any more of them anytime soon. Like,
yeah, and that's the reality. That truly is the reality, that they probably won't. This is probably like one of those,
Well, I felt this way with, even the castle figures we got, which I love, which I actually like. This is all a ton of, actually, I should open these all up right now. Every Tuesday and Friday, my store gets a shipment in of them. And because I used to work there, I have an in with them, and I'd be like, hey, just set as many of the castle ones aside as possible for me. And I've been trying to get them. I'm trying to at least get 4 of the space ones too, just because I want to have a bit of them.
yeah, absolutely.
And now that I'm trying to get into space a little bit, I'm also trying to get some more space stuff. But I've been getting a bunch of them, and I'm just like, I feel like what Lego is doing, and I'm going to take this from Mark Erickson, just because we talked about this a while ago.
We don't
He's
like
like-
him, right? We don't. We're not. No, just kidding.
Yeah, well, I do, so I'm going to talk about it.
Are you kidding me? We love Mark. We love Mark. We love to
Oh,
give
yeah.
crap is what we love about him. But anyway,
yeah.
go on.
That's what everyone loves about Mark. But with the, even with the Galaxy Explorer and the 90th anniversary castle, he made a great point. He's like, it kind of feels like Lego's like, all right, you guys have been jonesing for your space and castle highs.
Yeah.
We're going to give it to you, but you're going to keep like, and this is so you shut up and stop talking to us for a bit about it so we can focus back on Star Wars and crappy Marvel sets. So that's kind of what I feel like's going on here, sadly. But hopefully, I'm hoping we might get a little bit more here soon.
Well, the sad thing is that you're probably right. That is probably, hey, we're going to take advantage of its 90 years, even though these space sets have only been out since, less than 90 years. But we're going to call it 90-year anniversary. We'll give you some fun things. And, hopefully it'll shut you guys up for a while. But at the same time, they didn't have to give us a brown classic spaceman torso figure in the CMF. So they didn't have to add in more Black Falcon stuff. So I almost feel like while there may be certain factions within Lego who are like, yeah, let's just shut them up or whatever. But I still think that the designers are out there because we keep getting like because I know you went through and looked at the CMFs and the fact that we're getting little tidbits all the time, little nods here, little nods there. There are designers who are grassrooting it and still giving us little things along the way. So I still have hopes that we'll see more things.
I agree. So I'm looking for a quick figure. I'm setting up my castle army behind me slowly, so I've been pulling them all out. Shoot. Where is it?
You're killing our content, Brad. What are you doing, man?
Okay, I can't find him right now. I know I set him up. There's a figure called the Rogue, which is this green hooded, and he's got like a green mask on.
Yeah.
Well, I actually found out from someone recently that figure was made for a castle theme that never happened. That was one that they were trying to make. And so sadly, like, I think that's what happens a lot, but I agree. I think the designers are there and they're seeing, like, they enjoyed that stuff growing up. So they always tried to give us more stuff with it.
Yep.
And I honestly think, and one of the reasons why I have dedicated my channel to talking about Castle and now to space, hopefully more, is if enough people start talking about it and enough people start pushing Lego back and they just see video after video and person after person talking about it, hopefully they're like, okay, here's a couple more space and castle sets. Like,
right. Well, and
did they sell well enough though? Like the ones that they have brought out? Like the Galaxy Explorers have gone down to what, $50 US clearance?
No, still not.
No, but they did.
That was for Black Friday though, right?
No. Well, all right. So we got the release, and then Walmart decides before the holiday season they're going to drop them automatically to 75, and then Black Friday they dropped them to 50. And then every so often there's a clerical error and the website will drop them to 50 again. But yet, if you go in most of the time, they're still at either 100 or sometimes 75. But they're no longer there. I mean, more and more times I'm not walking in and seeing them anymore. They're gone. They've sold. So either it's selling to expectations or I'm not quite sure. So I don't think it was a failed set in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Oh, I'm not saying it was
the number
failed.
of people who bought it just
Right.
proves that it's not a failed set. I think the Castle did a little bit worse than the Galaxy Explorer. I hate to admit that, but it's just because
The price
it's so
point.
expensive.
Yeah.
A lot more people either bought multiple Galaxy Explorers or were able to get enough were able to afford it because it's $100 set. It's closer to what people can afford. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not trying to say, and this isn't a castle versus space conversation for me. This is, $400 set versus a $100 set. Of course, the $100 set will probably sell better in a way.
Right.
But a lot of castle fans bought the castle or wanted the castle. And on top of that, think about the Blacktron GWP and the Forest Hideout.
Yep.
Those both did really well. Now, it's harder to look at that at Lego's perspective, but if anything, I think we're going to at least maybe see some more GWPs of classic things, which personally, I think Adventurers should get theirs next.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, it would be great for them to start doing some more themes and do things. I mean, as Jeff said, Mtron, I would love for them to do a throwback Mtron set. I mean, make my freaking
Magnets. I
gear.
mean,
Yeah,
like Grom had said in the last time when I mentioned that they can't because of the magnets.
right.
And I was like, well, they do have that big 4, like they've got a 4x4
Yep.
brick now in a round.
So you can't swallow it and choke on
Yeah.
it and get another
Yeah.
magnet caught in, and but
Yeah.
I mean, they
they're
could
kinda
do other
huge.
things. They could still, I mean, heck, what
Hey,
they
Lego
just did to
has-
Bionicle, or
Yeah.
not Bion, yeah, what they did to Bionicle.
It's Bionicle. It's like, it's technically like Mixels, but like
right. It's Bionicle Light or Mixel's version 3 or whatever you want to call it. But it would be cool to see them start to do stuff. Now I do have a small back, and Chris is not here, so I'll tell this insider story. Is that the baby, the little space baby, this was done in conjunction or designed by when the Galaxy Explorer was being done. So this was a design idea for something that didn't happen, and then we got to see it show up in the CMF. So again, that kind of
which
goes
is
back
usually
to
what
that,
happens.
yeah. So it kind of goes back to that failed something, but yet they still used it for something else. So maybe we'll see more of that.
That's good practice of business, though, too, right? Like,
Sure, you've done the
money, you know what to
design,
do
the
it.
R&D, use it for
Yep.
something. You know,
I have a feeling there's a couple things that make me wonder if we will see. I don't think we might ever get a full theme back, but I could definitely see some more ideas / creator expert / which, in my opinion, stop going creator expert, because I know younger kids want classic space and castle stuff. It's not just me
Yeah.
to your guys' people's. Like,
Yeah.
it's definitely not just that. And so I think that is kind of sad that we are getting a lot of creator expert and less kid ones of that. But I do. Where was I going with this?
you were trying to say that it's not just the classic space guys who want this. It's the younger kids also like it too. We had a kid show up at Brick World. I have a habitat display, and it's every theme. And this kid walked up, and he was what, 12?
Yeah, about that.
About that, maybe plus or minus. And he named every theme, including Space Skulls and Star Justice, which most people don't even realize that exists. And so this kid knew all of this stuff. So it's not, the joy that we got as kids still exists in kids. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I grew up with original themes. Like, my first sets were Exoforce, for crying out loud. Like,
Right.
I bought Atlantis and Mars Mission, and it's. I think we might see some stuff come back, though, because I have a feel like one of the things that I don't know. This is again, we're gonna go into theory world here. Like, there was supposed to be that log cabin was supposed to be technically a kind of closer to medieval style. Like, it was older. It wasn't, it was supposed to be an older thing.
Right.
And they made it more modern. And I'm wondering if they didn't want anything to conflict with a theme that might be castle related that could come out again or something like that.
Could be.
Again, like, there's so many opportunities for them to bring this stuff back in a way that adults and kids love. Like, just if you do a $50 set of either of those themes, classic space or castle,
Right.
Yeah.
it would sell so well.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what
You'd
they
be
should
buying
do.
10. I would be buying 16. Like,
I think they should release smaller sets, like kind of like the Benny, Lenny, Jenny, Kenny type thing.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
the $25, $30 sets, just as a feeler to say, hey, why not?
Yeah.
And again, I'm going back to the Dreams theme. I think that could be a possible way for them to do that.
It could be.
I was
because-
thinking that too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Dimensions was kind of that gateway that could have worked that way,
Yeah.
where we could have gotten sets that didn't have anything to do with the game, but those properties or those eras would have allowed us to get those things. So maybe we might see that with Dreams. I mean, it'd be awesome if they just threw us a poly bag every so often with a classic minifigure from a different theme and a little tiny bag. The same thing we would have gotten in, the little tiny boxes back in the day.
Well, I was going to say that. Look at old classic space and castle stuff. There's plenty of opportunities to be like, hey, we're going to remake this in a more modern area.
Right.
And anyone would buy it up, even younger kids. Like,
and polybags are they're throwaways for Lego. I mean, realistically, You walk into any store and there's always poly bags, and kids will always pick up poly bags because it's something for mom and dad. All right, it's $3-4. All right, shut up. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so go ahead and give us poly bags of something.
Impulse buy sets. If you want to, bring those back. If you want to get rid of the plastic element, bring back impulse buy sets.
Yeah. So,
and Brick Snaps make a great point. No IPs, which in my opinion, it's like even 1 or 2 sets a year of that with no IPs, you're not having to pay the Star Wars tax. You're not having to pay the Marvel tax, or I should just say in general, the Disney tax.
But here's the problem with that, though. Here's the problem with that. It's the reason why we don't get space sets other than Star Wars, because it's a conflict with the Star Wars brand. It's the reason why when Lord of the Rings comes out with a series, you won't get any other class or castle type things because it conflicts with the Lord of the Rings theme.
Which in general, it technically doesn't.
But that's not how marketing, and I've said this before, I'll say this again, marketing is the root of all evil when it comes to Lego. That's not how marketing sees it. They see we're marketing a castle theme and it's called Lord of the Rings.
And it could be contractual too, right?
What's that?
It could be contractual too, like Star Wars probably has something in there.
Or it could be it could be an interpretation of a contract that some lawyer says, no, you can't do this, even though technically you should be able to.
Yeah.
Well, if they just put out a Star Wars set and the Galaxy Explorer the same year, all I'm saying is I feel like
they caveated it as creator expert and not a full line.
Well, then just keep doing that. Do cheaper. Like, you guys are fine about talking with some rumors, right? Like,
yeah, we can talk rumors. We just can't put pictures.
Yeah. There is rumors that Lego Ideas is going to have like a spin-off of like cheaper sets.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called, but there was a certain name for it. Honestly, and one of them is supposed to be like a marketplace, which technically could be used for medieval, but like just do sets like that are smaller. Call it Lego Ideas or whatever. Because I know there are Castle and Space fans who put smaller sets on the Lego Ideas that never get picked, and you just pick those.
Yeah, I would love it if they would make it where more smaller sets made it into Lego Ideas, because I mean, the average price of a Lego Ideas set is what, $100?
150 usually over.
Yeah, usually 150, $100. So yeah, if they would make it to where it was actually possible to make some of those smaller sets happen. I mean, we joke about the fact all the time. We're like, we want a little tiny spaceship with a trans yellow cockpit and a red classic spaceman in there. There we go. Boom. Give me that. But those types of sets don't make it to 10,000 because it's not meeting an intellectual property that garners the whatever. So yeah, time will tell.
We've sort of crept past our hour mark, so we should probably wind it down.
Let's bring this ship to a landing, shall we?
But let's see. We probably will have a Thursday show.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone will show up for the Thursday show because Atlanta BrickCon is happening. And it officially starts Friday. Some of us may be over there setting up on Thursday. Some of us might be back for Thursday's show. Jeff certainly will be actually physically in Atlanta on Thursday. So I
might not have a place to go though for a few hours there. Because I think we'll see.
We'll corral around that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could sign on to the show by your phone. That could be fun.
Data rates. No, not.
Oh, right.
I have a very limited data plan because I work for the company, so they give us cheap plan.
Anyway, thanks to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us, and thanks for dropping in, Brad. It's good to talk to you.
Absolutely.
In a while. So we will see all of you guys on Thursday, and there will be some highlights from Atlanta BrickCon this weekend. So keep an eye out on all the socials for people's photos, videos, all kinds of stuff. And we will see you guys on Thursday. Bye.